the reason for this special meeting tonight is because the city suffered great sadness with the loss of our chief executive, who was a relatively young man and who served faithfully. A lot of people felt a great affection for the mayor, and I think it's only fitting that we have a moment of silence. Thank you, Mr. President.
May his soul rest in peace. Mr. Clerk, agenda item number 1.
We have the call of the meeting.
That will be accepted and placed on file.
We have the office of the Attorney General.
That too shall be accepted and placed on
We have
file.
an election of the mayor to fill the unexpired term. The city council shall elect by majority vote one of its members as mayor for the remainder of the unexpired term of deceased Mayor Bill Carpenter.
That too shall be accepted and placed on file. As the time has arrived, I'm basically going to turn over the meeting to the city clerk to conduct the rest of the meeting. So, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody, ladies and gentlemen, members of the council. I'm sure the council is very familiar with what their duties are this evening, but for the people out in the audience and those watching TV, you must understand this is not a temporary appointment. This is to replace the mayor, so that the councilor that is selected or elected to this position has the full power and duties of the mayor as though he or she were elected by a popular vote. They are to abide by the ordinances of the city of Brockton, the Constitution of the laws of Massachusetts, and the laws of the U.S. So without that, we'll go further, but I wanted to make it very clear, this is a very important decision, and that the elected councilor will have full power. So I hope you all understand that, members of the council, I know that you do, and I'm sure that you'll make a decision that will serve the city properly and for well-being of the citizens. And with that, I will open it up for nominations for the replacement of the mayor.
Mr. Clerk?
Councilor McDonald.
Mr. Clerk, I would like to place in nomination the name of Councilor at Large Moises Rodrigues.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, I'd like to make a motion to close nominations.
Second.
Nominations have been made. Councilor Fowler is recommended and nominated. Councilor Moises Rodrigues, properly seconded by the council. Therefore, I think we should call him roll.
Mr. Clerk, may I have a moment of personal
You
privilege?
certainly shall.
Mr. Clerk and colleagues, having served as mayor, I know what a difficult task is ahead of Councilor Rodrigues. He is immediately going to have to console a staff which rightfully is very sad, probably demoralized because they've lost their leader. And that's not easy to step into an organization where you've got to deal with grief before you can deal with the work of the city. Now, sometimes when we sit here, it's hard to make the right decision because there are competing interests. In this case, I believe by selecting Councilor Rodrigues, we are making the right decision. He has been our council president. He has met with the mayor weekly on a variety of issues. He is a veteran of the United States Navy. He has served in the administration of Mayor Harrington. So he is very well versed. So he is very well immersed and knowledgeable about municipal government, municipal finance, and the other thing that I think needs to be mentioned is he does a lot of work with the youth at St. Edith's Stein. And working with the youth in this community is absolutely essential for the quality of life that we want for our residents, and especially for our young people. So for all of those reasons, it isn't that he's of Cape Verdean descent. It isn't that he may be culturally different, ethnically different. This is clearly a decision that is right based on the man, Moises Rodrigues. And I'm very proud of that.
very unfortunate moment in our city, given the fact that our recent mayor just passed away unexpectedly. But I think that we as elected officials in this city, and some of us actually was elected by the entire city, I think we have a solemn obligation not just to sit here, but also do what we think is best for the people. And given the fact that I know Council President Moises Rodrigues for a while now, way before I got elected myself, I strongly believe that we as a collective body will be able to select the best person. But in regard to my statement about Moises, I think Moises does have the ability and also the capacity to serve in that position, not only because he's the council president, but also serve under the former mayor. And I can personally say that you were able to observe and also watch closely some of the stuff that you and I discussed. And I think tonight, it's not about whether or not Moises is Cape Verde and stuff like that, but it's voting for somebody who truly believes in giving every single one of us in this city an opportunity not only to speak, but also to act accordingly. And I think that statement is something that I think most of my colleagues will echo. And I can see Moises, after he got the news about Bill Carpenter, how sad and down that he felt about the situation. Moises and myself spoke for like hours about the situation that we're dealing with. Although some of you folks out there might think that all of us are doing something crazy behind the scene, but we do take some time to actually analyze every step that we can possibly think to making sure that your voice are being heard, and also the folks that you voted on will represent you accordingly. So for me, I said it earlier this morning, my vote will not be a vote based on a culture or based on a race, but it will be based on a vote that will represent every single one of you. Those of you that know me well, you know that I stand for what is right and I stand for what is good. And I think Council Moises Rodrigues is the person that can actually do that job. It's a very time consuming, and I also said that it's going to take Moises a lot of times to do this, but I think all of us will stand with you to do this job accordingly. So thank you, Mr. Clerk. I truly appreciate the moment of personal privilege. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk? Moment of personal privilege. Thank you. Good evening. Absent these extraordinary circumstances of Mayor Carpenter's unexpected passing, choosing a mayor is the decision of Brockton residents and not of the City Council, except for us being Brockton residents. Tonight, before we follow state law by nominating and voting for a mayor to serve out Mayor Carpenter's term, I must ask several questions I'm very interested in, so are my constituents, in getting the answers to, if you don't mind. Mr. Rodrigues, do you intend to run for mayor in this election cycle that will culminate with an election in November?
I have absolutely no intention to run for office in November.
Thank you.
I mean, wait a minute, not the mayor's run. Intention
As mayor,
for re-election.
And will you devote your full time to being mayor in these next 6 months, taking a leave of absence or otherwise eschewing your full-time employment at this time?
I have done that in terms of having preliminary discussions with my employer, and they were willing to give me the time off to do this full time.
Thank you. That's wonderful for the best interests of the city of Brockton. And lastly, can you give us a brief but succinct idea of some of your goals and priorities over these next 6 months?
Well, I was going to wait until the end
Okay.
after we do this,
Okay.
since nominations are closed. I think just by the mere fact that I can cast one vote and we can get this done. But at the end, I was going to do that and just
That's
share
just
with
fine.
you
I
all
can
some of
wait.
the thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Any other council?
Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Clerk, a moment of personal privilege, if I may. So colleagues and residents, today's a sad day. Bill Carpenter was buried. Politics aside, 62-year-old man, grandfather, it's a tragedy. It's a happy day on the other side because we're making the right choice for Moises Rodrigues. When Bill passed, I called Moses and he explained to me what he needed to do as president. That's why we elected him council president. It wasn't a job in name only, that's what he's done. He's a friend of mine, he's a colleague of mine. He and I share values of family. And so what we're doing tonight is an extremely historic vote. Happened 70 years ago when Mayor Downey passed. But the circumstances are, we need to make sure that the city council and the mayor's office continue the right path, moving forward for the benefit of everybody in the city of Brockton. So I'm proud to say that the interim mayor is going to be voted on tonight, and I'm really proud of you, Moises. So thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and I want to welcome everybody here this evening as well. And just to ditto some of the same comments that my other councils have mentioned, and I, who sits as the dean of the city council, say and feel the same way as we are all doing to elect our council president to become the acting mayor for the next 6 months. I've been president 3 different times. A couple of the councils in this room have been president 2 or 3 other times as well. Moises became president in January. When he became president, he sat down with me and wanted to know some of the ins and outs of what he had to do as president, and I went through that with him, the same as he did with the other councils that have served as president as well. I think one of the greatest things that he did do was follow my lead and to make sure that you met with the mayor. Try to meet every week or every other week, and I think that he was doing that. As a matter of fact, conversation just a few weeks ago with him, and right before the passing of Mayor Carpenter, he had indicated how he was going to be meeting with him, and unfortunately that meeting did not happen. But he was working with him in the same steps that I was, and other councils as well, to make sure that we move the city forward. And just to ditto some of the same things Councilor Fowler mentioned, which I have great concern with, and I had an opportunity to talk to the council president this morning in regards to this as well, is the fact that everybody in City Hall stays in its place. Everything that's going on in City Hall must stay in its place. And my greatest concern is for the people that are in that inner office, because they're younger than some of us, and they've never gone through this type of a situation. Sometimes an employee may pass, but sometimes when the boss goes home at night and does not come back the next day, it makes it very difficult, because that's whom they were working for. And I think Councilor Rodrigues understands that. I know he does, and he's got to give them the time and the space, and I think that he'll do that. I think we will be here as a city council to work with him. He just has to change his hat now from a legislative look to an executive branch look, and sometimes that may be difficult, but I don't think it will be, because it's for 6 months. But the course of going in the right direction is what we have to do, and that's what I'm asking that he continue to do, and I know that he will. So with that being said, I welcome him, and I know I'll look forward to working with him for these next 6 months. So I think it's in our best interest that we elect him this evening. Thank you.
Any other councilor who would like to be heard?
Let's call for the vote so we can start his term.
I didn't prepare a speech, but I would like to just say how proud I am of Council President in the last week and a half, and how we dealt with the situation, which nobody's ever dealt with, and I respect what he's gone through, and I look forward to working with him as our future mayor. Thank you.
Okay, so since the nominations were properly open, and Councilor Rodrigues was nominated, properly seconded, the motion, and the time has come for roll call to elect Councilor Rodrigues as the mayor of the city of Brockton to fill in the unexpired term.
Councilor Asak. My friend and colleague, Councilor Moises Rodrigues.
Councilor Beauregard.
President of City Council, Moises Rodrigues.
Councilor Cruz.
My friend Moises Rodrigues.
Councilor Davenport.
Council President Moises Rodrigues.
Councilor Ianieri.
President Rodrigues.
Councilor Farwell.
Council President Moises Rodrigues.
Councilor Lally.
Council President Moises Rodrigues. Although you can beat my friend if you want. On Facebook.
Councilor De Castro.
Council President Moises Rodrigues.
Councilor Rodriguez.